All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about industrial AI, and this isn't just some small tweak to how factories work. It's a full-on revolution. We are tearing up the old blueprints and moving way beyond the assembly line into the age of the smart factory. So let's really get into it. To see why AI is such a big deal here, you first got to understand the massive shift that's happening on the factory floor itself. It's this move toward what everyone is calling the smart factory. The difference between the old way and the new way is, well, it's night and day. In the old factory, everything was in its own little silo. You were always reactive. You fixed problems after they happened. And you were probably relying on someone manually typing data into a spreadsheet. But in the smart factory, everything is connected. The system can actually predict problems before they happen, all because it's powered by this constant, real-time stream of data.
So, what's the fuel for this whole transformation? Well, it all comes down to one thing, one resource that's become the most valuable asset in manufacturing today.
You've probably heard this phrase, and it is a perfect analogy. Think about it. Crude oil straight out of the ground isn't all that useful. You have to refine it. Raw data is exactly the same. By itself, it's just noise. It has to be collected, refined, and analyzed to unlock its real power. And that refining process? Well, that's where industrial AI comes in.
And this data is just pouring in from everywhere. You've got smart sensors on every machine measuring things like temperature, vibration, and pressure. You've got these incredible smart vision systems that can spot tiny defects a human eye could never catch. And then you have the Industrial Internet of Things, the IoT, which is what connects all of this together, creating this massive, nonstop fire hose of information about every single thing happening in the factory. All this data has forced a pretty huge shift in how we think. We're moving away from what we used to call systems of record. These were just disconnected databases, right? Like, here's our sales data. Over there is our inventory data. They were snapshots of the past. Now we're building systems of reality. These systems pull in all that old historical data and combine it with the live, real-time stuff to create a living, breathing digital model of the entire operation. It's like going from a photo album to a live video stream. Okay, but having all this data creates a brand new challenge. And it's a big one. You have to bridge the gap between two worlds that, historically, have not talked to each other at all, the front office and the factory floor. For decades, you had IT, information technology, on one side. They managed the business systems, the emails, the spreadsheets. Then, on the other side, you had OT, operational technology. They were the ones on the factory floor managing the actual physical machines. And these two groups, they spoke totally different languages. They had different priorities. IT was worried about the flow of data. OT was worried about keeping the machines from breaking down. But now, finally, we have the tools to bridge that gap. It all starts with the IoT connecting everything. Then you have edge computing, which can process data right there on the factory floor in an instant. Of course, you have AI and advanced analytics to find all the hidden patterns. And it's all tied together with cloud platforms that make it scalable and accessible anywhere. This convergence right here, this is the technical backbone of the smart factory. All right, so this brings us to the payoff. We've got the data flowing, we've got the systems connected, but how does AI actually turn all that potential into real, tangible, bottom-line results? Where's the money? Well, one of the biggest impacts is on a key manufacturing metric called Overall Equipment Effectiveness, or OEE. The easiest way to think about OEE is like a report card for your factory. It basically asks, how much of our time are we actually being productive? And it calculates that by looking at three things. Are your machines available and running? Are they performing as fast as they should? And is the quality of what they're making any good? So here's how AI boosts that OEE score. First, it collects all that sensor data we were talking about. Then it uses that data to create something called a digital twin, basically a perfect virtual replica of the factory. AI algorithms then sift through mountains of this data, looking for tiny, subtle patterns that a human would never see, patterns that predict a machine is going to fail. This lets manufacturers stop being reactive firefighters and start proactively optimizing things weeks in advance. And the results? They are seriously impressive. The companies leading the charge are reporting a 5 to 15% increase in their OEE. Now, I know 5 to 15% might not sound like a huge number, but in a massive manufacturing operation, a single percentage point can be worth millions and millions of dollars.
We're talking less downtime, higher output. It is a total game changer for profitability. But here's the thing, the impact doesn't just stop at the factory doors. This same data-first approach is being used to supercharge the entire supply chain, from the moment raw materials are ordered all the way to the final customer. AI is making the supply chain smarter in so many ways. For example, it can analyze sales figures, weather patterns, even social media trends to predict customer demand way more accurately. It can automatically optimize your inventory so you don't have too much or too little. It can monitor goods while they're being shipped. It can even reroute delivery trucks in real time based on traffic. And just think about the kind of precision this brings to the table. We're seeing companies improve their demand forecast accuracy by up to 25%. I mean, imagine what that does for a business. You order the right amount of materials, you're not paying to store tons of extra inventory, and your customers are happy because you're never out of stock. It just cuts out so much waste and makes the whole thing much more resilient. So when you put this all together, what does it really mean? What is this new reality for the future of manufacturing? And maybe more importantly, what does it mean for the people who work there? And this part is absolutely crucial. This is not about robots replacing people. It's about collaboration. We're seeing the rise of what are called cobots, collaborative robots, that are literally designed to work side by side with humans. They can handle the heavy, repetitive, boring stuff, which frees up the human workers to focus on the things we're great at, like complex problem solving and creative thinking. The point of the AI is to augment our expertise, not to make it obsolete. So if we boil this all down, there are really three big takeaways. First, manufacturing isn't a bunch of separate steps anymore. It's one big connected ecosystem. Second, none of this AI magic happens without a solid foundation of data. Data is everything. And finally, the future is not humans versus machines. It's humans with machines, combining our unique ingenuity with the incredible efficiency of AI. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. As our factories get smarter and smarter, to the point where they can actually learn and adapt on their own, what does that mean for the role of the people inside them? We're shifting from being operators to being orchestrators, from laborers to innovators, and that, right there, might just be the biggest transformation of all.